Some people bake cookies for Christmas, others shovel snow. And then there are the financial geniuses who look at the holidays and think, perfect, time to monetize my worst ideas. You haven't even met the truly deranged ones yet. 1. A man decided his big holiday moneymaker would be selling genuine North Pole snow in tiny glass jars, which would have been adorable if he hadn't filled them with the melted slush scraped off a gas station parking lot. He marketed the product as ethically sourced seasonal precipitation and even charged extra for jars containing rare impurities, which, according to witnesses, were just gravel and road salt. But he insisted gave the snow authentic Arctic terroir. And when customers noticed the jars arrived half-empty because the contents evaporated in transit, he claimed the disappearing snow was proof of magical properties, essentially monetizing the slow tragedy of thermodynamics and pocketing the refund requests as emotional handling fees, creating a holiday business model built entirely on bad science and worse ethics. 2. Someone launched a side hustle offering personalized Christmas carols performed over Zoom, which sounds wholesome until you realize the singer was using an auto-tune plugin clearly designed for chaotic nightclub DJs, so every cherished holiday classic sounded like a robot having an existential breakdown. Families expected quaint harmonies and instead received a dissonant, bass-boosted remix of Silent Night that made grandparents recoil like they were being attacked by rogue electronics. Yet the entrepreneur insisted the glitching voice effects were modern upgrades, comparing themselves to a seasonal Daft Punk despite performing in a dimly lit bedroom decorated with a single dying poinsettia. And somehow they still charged extra for premium emotional delivery, which apparently meant performing the same song while staring unblinking into the camera like an AI trying to learn human joy. 3. A woman attempted to corner the holiday market by renting out Christmas tree babysitting services, promising to watch over people's trees while they were away, as if conifers routinely attempted escape or suffered separation anxiety. Her pitch claimed trees get lonely without human supervision, suggesting she would read to them, spritz them with artisanal mist, and whisper encouraging affirmations about photosynthesis. And she charged by the hour like a botanical therapist. Customers eventually realized the entire service consisted of her taking selfies next to the trees while reminding homeowners their trees seemed emotionally distant, a phrase designed to upsell her deluxe package, which included singing lullabies to the branches for an extra $30, turning seasonal decor into the victim of the strangest manufactured crisis since pet rocks needed adoption certificates. 4. A man launched Santa Tracker Premium, a subscription-based tech service that promised hyper-real-time updates on Santa's location, which might have worked if he hadn't relied entirely on Google Maps screenshots of random airplanes, sending enthusiastic alerts like "Santa over Omaha," while subscribers stared at what was clearly Southwest Flight 2089. He insisted the jet icon was simply Santa's modernized sleigh, blaming holiday modernization for any inconsistencies. And when asked why Santa appeared to be circling Atlanta for 40 minutes straight, he claimed it was cookie refueling, all while charging families $10 a month for the privilege of being lied to with commercial aviation data and the confidence of a man who had fully committed to pretending Christmas was governed by the FAA. 5. One entrepreneur tried selling emotionally supportive ornaments, glass balls supposedly infused with positive affirmations, except the affirmations were just generic inspirational quotes printed on paper and shoved inside like motivational fortune cookies. She priced them as luxury emotional wellness tools, advertising them as mindfully blown by artisans, though they were mass-produced factory ornaments from a clearance bin, and customers quickly discovered that the quotes included such uplifting messages as "do your best" and "believe," which did not justify the $40 price tag. When confronted, she argued the real value was the energetic alignment she performed by waving sage around the ornaments while thinking happy thoughts, proving once again that no industry is safe from being spiritually monetized, not even tree decorations that already break from a gentle breeze. 6. A guy attempted to profit off the holiday spirit by offering professional gift opener services, claiming some families were too overstimulated to handle the emotional intensity of tearing wrapping paper, so he would step in, open their presents for them, and provide a clinical, neutral unwrapping experience. He arrived in gloves, described his process as surgical, and maintained a solemn tone as he slid open Scotch tape like a bomb technician. His website claimed he reduced holiday stress by 87%, citing no data whatsoever, and he even offered a deluxe tier where he provided post-opening analysis, which consisted of him telling people whether their gifts were useful, useless, or aggressively mediocre, essentially combining the worst parts of a personal assistant and a talent show judge while charging families for the privilege of watching a stranger fondle their belongings. 7. Someone created a rent-a-reindeer service, which sounded whimsical until customers discovered the reindeer were actually just large, irritated goats wearing antler headbands that kept sliding off. The entrepreneur insisted goats were basically reindeer but more attainable, describing them as economically optimized holiday mammals, a phrase that made biologists collectively sigh, and the animals spent most events headbutting lawn decorations, eating garlands, and trying to escape their leashes. Still, the business owner defended the chaos as authentic wilderness behavior, claiming it added rustic charm, which might have been true if children weren't crying after being chased by what was effectively a festive barnyard delinquent. Yet bookings continued because nothing says Christmas quite like a disguised goat threatening to dismantle your porch. 8. A crafty individual offered handmade Christmas candles infused with the scent of nostalgia, which customers expected to smell like cinnamon, pine, or childhood baking memories. But instead, the candles had perplexing aromas like wet sidewalk, mall pretzel breeze, and faint regret, because the creator had apparently misunderstood human nostalgia as urban inconvenience. When confronted, they explained they were capturing the true American December experience, which apparently includes the scent of overheated HVAC systems and crowded department stores, all poured into aggressively overpriced mason jars. Buyers quickly realized the candles smelled less like Christmas and more like the air in an understaffed mall food court at 4 p.m. Yet the seller insisted the fragrances were avant-garde olfactory storytelling, transforming bad candle chemistry into performance art priced at $30 each. 9. A man attempted a Christmas delivery side hustle where he hand-delivered gifts dressed as Santa's intern, which raised questions immediately because nobody asked for a Santa intern, and his costume consisted of a wrinkled red polo, cargo shorts, and a lanyard that said North Pole HR. He explained that Santa had outsourced entry-level operations, making him part of a fictional seasonal workforce, and his job was to deliver gifts in a more relatable, corporate-adjacent manner. Though he mostly looked like someone who had been fired from 3 mall Santas and still wouldn't leave the food court. Customers were unimpressed when he dropped packages in the wrong yards, citing organizational restructuring, and he tried charging extra for expedited elf-like service, which appeared to mean jogging awkwardly while holding a box. 10. A woman tried selling custom snowflakes in jars, advertising them as individually captured, one-of-a-kind frozen artworks, an impressive claim considering snow melts faster than her sales pitch lasted. She stored the jars in her freezer and shipped them with handwritten notes explaining the snowflakes had spiritual permanence even after physical departure, essentially admitting the jars were empty while insisting the emptiness itself was a premium feature. She argued buyers were receiving the essence of uniqueness, a concept previously known as nothing, and priced each jar at $25. Reviewers described the product as philosophical air, but she maintained that minimalism was misunderstood by people who lacked winter imagination, which was a surprisingly elegant way of saying she was selling cold-themed jars of pretend. 11. Someone built a side hustle making holiday miracle water, bottled from melted snow collected off their own roof, an origin story that should have disqualified it from human consumption immediately. They claimed the water was charged with cosmic Yuletide frequency, though the only real frequency was the occasional thud of icicles falling off shingles. They sold the bottles as spiritual amplifiers and even added glitter to some batches, insisting it was energetic stardust rather than craft supplies. Customers complained the water tasted like winter gutter, which, in fairness, is exactly what it was. And rather than address health concerns, the seller accused critics of resisting seasonal enlightenment, proving there is no limit to how far someone will stretch a mystical explanation to avoid admitting they are selling contaminated icicle soup. 12. A self-proclaimed holiday tech visionary offered virtual snow globe experiences, which turned out to be 10-second videos of him shaking a cheap plastic snow globe in front of a webcam. He claimed each video was uniquely crafted, though they all featured the same dusty globe and the same cough in the background. He framed the concept as digitally immersive snowfall, arguing customers didn't understand the artistic nuance of watching a pixelated snowman spin while he struggled to hold the globe steady. For an additional fee, he offered a premium rotation package, which meant he shook the globe harder, and he also sold a VR enhancement, which was just zooming in. Despite the obvious lack of effort, he maintained a straight face, describing the service as a breakthrough in holiday digital expression, demonstrating how confidently someone can monetize the bare minimum if they wrap it in enough tech jargon. 13. A person created a holiday side business knitting emotionally charged scarves, claiming each scarf contained the energetic imprint of the knitter's personal Christmas feelings, which might have been poetic if they hadn't openly admitted they knitted exclusively while watching true crime documentaries. Customers expecting cozy warmth instead received scarves that somehow felt haunted by unsolved mysteries, with color patterns that looked suspiciously like static from a malfunctioning TV. The seller insisted the scarves carried seasonal intensity, but buyers described them as spiritually unsettling neck warmers, especially after realizing one scarf came with a note saying it had been finished during a particularly stressful episode. Regardless, the creator marketed each one as a rare emotional artifact and sold them for $90, proving that holiday sentiment can be stretched far past its breaking point when paired with yarn and misplaced ambition. 14. An ambitious duo started a Christmas cookie consultation service, claiming they could transform anyone's holiday baking from mediocre to miraculous through personalized feedback, which sounded reasonable until clients realized the consultants weren't bakers but self-described culinary energy coaches who judged cookies solely on their vibes. They demanded clients mail them cookie samples, which they completely ignored in favor of holding the boxes up to their ears as if listening for spiritual resonance. Their feedback included cryptic phrases like, "This cookie feels insecure," and "The gingerbread lacks emotional grounding," none of which addressed the actual baking. They charged $50 per session and offered premium consultations that involved chanting affirmations at the dough, effectively selling the world's most pretentious food review system while never once turning on an oven. 15. A man attempted to earn holiday cash by offering Christmas tree tuning, a service where he claimed to adjust the resonant frequency of artificial trees so they could harmonize with household energy, though his entire process consisted of tapping each branch like a mechanic knocking on a car hood and then pretending to listen carefully. He insisted Christmas trees vibrated on emotional wavelengths and could become out of tune from stress, pets, or marriage tension, and he convinced several customers their trees were suffering from seasonal disharmony. His tuning method involved waving a small tuning fork near the branches while humming off-key, followed by telling homeowners their trees were now aligned with December joy, essentially transforming nonsense into a billable service, proving that any object, no matter how plastic or silent, can be diagnosed with a fake spiritual ailment if someone says it confidently enough. 16. A person launched a holiday side hustle offering elf surveillance reports, claiming they would monitor misbehaving children and send parents daily behavior updates from a certified North Pole intelligence officer. Though the entire operation consisted of the entrepreneur sitting in a car outside the client's house with a notebook, jotting down vague statements like child exhibited seasonal mischief tendencies or elf morale low due to parental snack selection. Eventually, parents noticed the reports were basically recycled fortune cookie wisdom dressed in Yuletide jargon, and when one customer asked why the elf kept spelling the kid's name wrong, the entrepreneur claimed the North Pole had archaic record-keeping standards, which is a very polite way of saying they were upcharging for what amounted to holiday-themed surveillance fanfiction typed in Comic Sans. 17. Someone tried to make money with a mobile wrapping station, driving around in a minivan fully stocked with off-brand wrapping paper and a single pair of scissors that looked like it had survived combat. They offered precision wrapping for a per-gift fee, insisting every present deserved aesthetic dignity. But customers quickly discovered the service involved wildly uneven cuts, tape applied with the enthusiasm of a toddler, and gift tags written in handwriting that looked like it was running away from the pen. Despite these results, the entrepreneur framed every flaw as a stylistic choice, calling crooked folds dynamic edges and mismatched paper seams visual tension, essentially rebranding incompetence as modern design, a strategy that would have been bold if not for the moment they accidentally wrapped someone's car keys inside the wrong package and declared it a mysterious narrative element. 18. A man created a business where he offered to calibrate people's Christmas stockings for optimal gift density, which apparently meant he would come into their homes, evaluate each stocking like a textile inspector with a grudge, and then issue an official certificate stating how many gifts each one could safely hold. His process included such advanced techniques as poking the fabric with his finger, holding the stocking up to a light bulb, and muttering phrases like structural fatigue, all while pretending stockings were precision-engineered load-bearing devices. Customers eventually realized he was just making up numbers because one certificate claimed a flimsy novelty stocking could support up to 8 pounds of seasonal joy, which is roughly the weight of a small bowling ball. Yet he stood by his estimates with the confidence of a man convinced Santa had subcontracted him personally, despite the fact that his diploma was clearly printed on glitter paper. 19. A woman attempted to sell pre-written holiday apologies for people who inevitably ruined family gatherings, offering a catalog of customizable regrets ranging from "sorry for the casserole incident" to "sorry for what I said about your life choices while holding eggnog." She marketed them as emotionally efficient holiday reconciliations and insisted her scripts could restore peace faster than therapy, but the actual letters read like they were written by someone who had never met a human being, with lines such as "I acknowledge your feelings as one acknowledges snowfall, inevitable and mildly inconvenient," which is not a tone known to improve family dynamics. Still, she charged premium rates for high-emotion packages, complete with metaphors about snowflakes and destiny that only made the apologies sound more suspicious. Yet customers kept buying them because apparently nothing says Merry Christmas like outsourcing your shame to a stranger with a printer. 20. A guy tried to launch a Christmas caroling drone service, sending a quadcopter to people's houses equipped with a tiny speaker that blasted public domain holiday music at a volume best described as aggressively festive. He described it as hands-free cheer delivery, ignoring the fact that most customers experienced it as a mechanical wasp hovering outside their windows screeching "deck the halls" like a broken toy. Neighbors complained the drones startled pets and occasionally clipped tree branches, but he defended the chaos as seasonal excitement, insisting that holiday joy should be unpredictable, loud, and slightly dangerous. He even offered a deluxe tier where the drone dropped candy canes from the sky, which sounds cute until you remember candy canes fall like spears, turning quiet neighborhoods into peppermint war zones that absolutely no one asked for. 21. A person set up a Christmas-side gig where they offered emotionally attuned ornament placement, claiming they had an intuitive sense for where each ornament wanted to live on the tree, as if ornaments were small, spherical tenants negotiating real estate rights. They insisted clients refrain from interfering because tree energy can be shy, and then spent hours slowly repositioning ornaments with the same gravitas as a museum curator arranging priceless artifacts, only to leave the tree looking exactly the same, except now the star was crooked. When asked how they determined each ornament's emotional needs, they said they could sense micro-vibrations of festive yearning, which is a poetic way of saying they moved things around until the client got tired and paid, effectively turning indecision into a monetized service supported entirely by vocabulary designed to sound spiritual enough to justify a hefty hourly rate. 22. A man spent an entire December offering strategic gift consulting, advising people what to buy based on a system he described as holiday behavioral analytics, which turned out to be nothing more than him asking 3 basic questions and then recommending whatever was on sale at the nearest big box store. He presented his method with corporate-level swagger, complete with charts, jargon, and a laminated badge that said Certified Festivity Analyst, and he pitched every gift suggestion like it was the result of groundbreaking research, even when the recommendation was something deeply uninspired, like a mug that said joy. Clients eventually noticed his so-called analytics always pointed them toward items that he happened to already have in his trunk, suggesting his consulting service doubled as a highly inefficient mobile clearance rack. But he defended his choices as simplicity-driven gifting philosophies, a phrase both meaningless and yet fully on-brand for a person monetizing common sense. 23. A woman attempted to sell pre-loved holiday magic, which turned out to be used decorations she described with the kind of emotional depth normally reserved for memoirs. She claimed each item had absorbed Christmas memories, implying her life experiences were somehow stored in cheap plastic ornaments, and she wrote descriptions like, "This snowman has seen heartbreak but still believes in joy," Or, these lights carried my family through a difficult winter, transforming garage sale leftovers into dramatic relics of triumph and sorrow. Customers initially found it charming until they realized the items arrived covered in dust and wrapped in grocery bags, meaning the only memories they had absorbed were probably mildew. But the seller defended her emotional upcharges by insisting she was providing curated nostalgia, which is remarkable considering most people buying seasonal decor are simply trying to replace a strand of lights that died tragically in storage. 24. Someone created a gingerbread home staging business, offering to decorate people's gingerbread houses to make them market-ready, as if these sugar structures were preparing to list themselves on candy-themed real estate websites. They provided professional critiques such as "your gumdrop symmetry is weak" and "this icing offers poor curb appeal," all delivered with the seriousness of an interior designer tasked with rescuing a failing mansion. They then upgraded the houses by adding strategically placed mint shingles and pretzel fences, charging rates that would make an actual contractor blush. Customers eventually realized the service was just glorified candy rearranging, but the entrepreneur maintained their role was essential because gingerbread buyers are discerning, which is an elegant way of saying they believed imaginary gingerbread residents deserved luxury amenities on par with a suburban house that charges HOA dues. 25. A man launched a holiday business offering Christmas light energizing sessions, where he would stand in someone's yard, place his hands near their string lights, and claim he was boosting their luminosity through intention-based electrical harmonizing, which is objectively impressive considering he never touched the lights or possessed any electrical expertise whatsoever. He told customers that LEDs respond to positive thought waves, and when the lights flickered, he called it energetic receptivity, never acknowledging that the real culprit was probably the old extension cord he tripped over earlier. Yet he charged substantial fees for these mystical sessions and even offered holiday packages that included chanting to inflatable Santas, turning suburban decor into the unwilling participants of a light-based seance performed by someone who absolutely believed sincerity could replace a multimeter. 26. Someone tried to monetize the chaos of holiday baking by offering a controlled cookie demolition service, promising to taste test cookies before they were served by strategically removing compromised structural areas, which translated to them eating the cookies under the guise of safety inspections. They described themselves as a culinary risk assessor who prevented dessert-related disappointment, and they used phrases like crumb integrity and flavor stability to justify consuming half a batch before giving feedback that consisted of vague statements like, "These lack narrative cohesion." Their entire assessment method boiled down to eating as many cookies as possible before the client realized they had hired what was essentially a festive vacuum cleaner in human form. Though the entrepreneur insisted their service prevented holiday embarrassment, proving there is no task too self-serving to be disguised as expertise when sugar is involved. 27. A person marketed custom snowman design consultations, treating snowman building like a renovation project requiring professional oversight. They evaluated snow quality with exaggerated seriousness, tapping it like a gemstone appraiser, while explaining whether the customer's property had adequate snow density for luxury snow structures, and then provided design suggestions such as mid-century modern snowman or minimalist snow being with subdued carrot placement. Their vision always included accessories the client had to purchase separately, conveniently sold from a tote bag they carried around like a door-to-door snow couture vendor. Despite the absurdity, several families paid for these sessions, only to discover the consultant's idea of high design meant adding sunglasses and a scarf tied with unnecessary flair, which somehow justified the fee because the consultant described the final product as a winter installation piece exploring the boundary between whimsy and frost. 28. A woman created a holiday side business offering family Christmas card script writing, claiming she could transform even the most dysfunctional households into a narrative masterpiece of unity and charm. She interviewed families briefly and then produced glossy, overly poetic summaries that described ordinary suburban chaos with the emotional tone of a presidential biography, turning minor events like Timmy got braces into Timothy embarked on a journey of personal reinvention, and reframing pet accidents as episodes of growth and reflection. Her writing was undeniably confident, even when it had no resemblance to the family's reality, and several customers complained the letters made them sound like they lived in a cult dedicated to gratitude and scented candles. But she stood by her work, insisting she specialized in aspirational truth, which is a polite way of admitting she was professionally rewriting people's lives to fit the aesthetic of a Hallmark movie marathon. 29. A man attempted to profit off holiday stress by offering line-standing services at malls, charging hourly rates to hold a customer's place in the endless queue for Santa photos or last-minute electronics. He treated the role like a noble public service, standing with the posture of a weary philosopher reflecting on the condition of humanity while surrounded by exhausted parents and kids in sugar comas. He even brought his own collapsible stool, thermos, and reading material, proudly calling himself a queuing specialist, which sounds like a job invented in a dystopian novel. However, customers soon realized he occasionally sold their spot to someone else for extra cash, turning the entire system into a black market Santa line economy controlled by a man who had fully embraced capitalism's darker holiday corners, earning money by exploiting the one thing more valuable than Christmas spirit: other people's patience. And that's our seasonal parade of questionable ambition. Pick the dumbest one in the comments because clearly the bar keeps sinking. And yes, you should absolutely stick around for more.